In the heart of Texas, the earth is alive. But when you take too much, it always takes something back. The screen fades into vast open land, endless stretches of desert under a sky heavy with storm clouds. The sound of wind howls across the emptiness. The camera moves slowly across oil rigs standing tall like metal giants in the fading light. Their arms move up and down with a grinding rhythm, like machines breathing. A crow screeches, flying over the barren land as if warning of something coming, the sound of metal chains rattling echoes in the background. The rigs moan, their gears screeching. It feels like the land itself is crying. The voiceover returns. Deep and gritty, heavy with warning. This land. It holds stories in the dirt, stories of greed, stories of power, stories of those who thought they could control it. But the land remembers. Always, the shot cuts to black and white flashes. A shadow of a man walking alone with his boots crushing dry soil. Oil spilling over a worker's hands, black against pale skin. A boardroom door slamming shut in slow motion, leaving only silence behind. Thunder cracks. The music begins to rise low strings, vibrating with tension. The camera pulls back too, reveal hundreds of oil wells scattered like scars across the earth. Flames shoot out of pipes, fire burning against the night sky. The glow makes the land look like a battlefield. A voice cuts in, sharp and cold, like a memory from the past. Every drop of oil is bought with blood, and every barrel leaves a debt unpaid. The visuals darken. We see blurred silhouettes of figures standing on a ridge, looking out at the endless fields. Their faces are hidden, but their presence feels heavy. The sound of a heartbeat slowly builds in the background, louder and louder, as if the earth itself is alive. Suddenly, silence. Just the wind again. The screen goes black. A faint whisper, the land is waiting. Asterisk, the silence breaks with the slam of a heavy door. Echoes travel down a long, empty corridor lined with shadows. The camera glides forward, slow and steady, toward a faint light at the end. A man's voice, sharp with anger, echoes into the void. You think you own the land? The land owns you? The voice fades as the corridor swallows the sound. The light at the end flickers, and then the screen cuts to black dot montage of shadows. We see a rapid sequence of faceless figures, never fully revealed. A hand gripping the edge of a drilling rig, knuckles white under pressure. A woman's silhouette, pacing in front of a glass window overlooking a city skyline at night. A brief flash of two men shaking hands in a dark parking lot, money changing hands. The faces remain hidden, but the deal feels dangerous. A close-up of eyes reflected in a rear-view mirror, watchful, suspicious. The sound of a ticking clock joins the background, steady, relentless. It feels like time is running out. Whispers of betrayal. The voiceover deepens, layered with overlapping whispers. One voice says, "Trust is a currency, and it always runs dry." Another cuts in, more desperate, "He knows everything. If he talks, we're finished." The whispers rise and clash, blending into a storm of voices until they break with the violent crash of thunder. The visuals shift to a boardroom table. Only hands are shown slamming fists, shuffling papers, clinking glasses. Every movement is sharp, decisive, and filled with tension. The camera focuses on a contract being signed, the ink spreading slowly like poison across the page. Power plays, the music swells into a low industrial hum, mixed with the rumble of engines. On screen, the audience sees trucks loaded with oil, barrels moving under the cover of night. A helicopter circling a vast pipeline that snakes across the land like a vein. A group of roughnecks standing in silence around a burning rig, their faces hidden by shadow and flame. The voiceover growls, "In this game, power isn't taken. It's traded, bought, stolen, and the ones who hold it never hold it for long." The camera cuts to the blurred outline of a courtroom. A gavel slams down. Sparks of flashbulbs explode as reporters crowd around faceless figures stepping through the doors. Chaos hums in the air. Fragmented dialogue over the rising soundscape. Fragments of dialogue break through like jagged shards. "He's not loyal to you. It's bigger than Texas now. If the truth comes out, we all burn." Each line is punctuated by quick flashes, oil spilling into water, maps marked with red lines crossing borders, papers being shredded in a frenzy. Faces in the dark. The camera lingers on a figure standing in front of a fire. The flames flicker against their outline, but the face never appears. The voiceover drops to a whisper. Some men dig for oil. Others dig graves. The screen cuts again to silence. Only the sound of boots crunching gravel remains. A lone figure walks away from the burning rig, swallowed by the darkness of night. The tension peaks with a final image, a chessboard lit by a single swinging bulb. Hands move the pieces one by one: king, queen, pawn. The final move slams down. The camera zooms in on the board where oil drips slowly across the pieces, staining them black. The voiceover delivers the warning like a sentence. Every empire built on oil ends the same way, buried. The screen cuts to black. The hum of the ticking clock returns. 1, 2, 3. Then silence. Asterisk. The screen bursts alive with chaos. A sudden roar of fire erupts, a rig exploding in the distance under a stormy sky. The flames reach upward like a warning to the heavens. The camera shakes with the blast, debris flying through the air, and then cut to silence. A low hum begins like the rumble of engines. The voiceover enters, heavy and foreboding. What starts in one field can set the whole world on fire. The growing storm. The camera sweeps over vast oil fields, but now they're filled with urgency. Trucks race down dirt roads, headlights slicing through the dust. Helicopters thunder overhead, circling pipelines that stretch endlessly like veins, feeding a hungry giant. Workers in helmets shout, their movements frantic, but their faces remain hidden. Every sound is louder, now engines grinding, steel groaning, radios crackling with overlapping voices. Snippets break through. Shut it down before it spreads. We're losing pressure. This isn't just local, it's international. The visuals cut quickly. Maps unrolled on tables, red circles drawn across borders. Cargo ships stacked with oil containers. Men in suits shaking hands under fluorescent lights while documents are exchanged in secret. The voiceover continues, cold and sharp. The deeper the wells go, the deeper the debts become. And debts this large demand payment in blood. Chaos. In motion, music swells, faster now, strings rising with pounding drums. The montage grows more frantic. Riot police clash with protesters holding signs covered in oil stains. A line of black SUVs races down a highway, windows tinted, their destination unknown. Oil gushes uncontrollably from a broken pipeline, black rivers cutting through farmland. In the distance, lightning cracks across the desert sky as if the heavens themselves are splitting. The ticking clock from before returns, but now it's faster, urgent, like a countdown. Every tick echoes louder than the last. Bigger than Texas, the voiceover drops, grim and unyielding. This isn't just Texas anymore. It's Washington, it's Moscow, it's Riyadh, it's everywhere. The screen flashes images of global landmarks. The Capitol dome under storm clouds, Kremlin towers silhouetted against the night, oil tankers lined up in Middle Eastern ports. Each shot is faceless but filled with menace, showing how far the shadow of oil stretches. A line of dialogue pierces through, firm and uncompromising. When oil moves, nations move, and when nations move, wars follow. The breaking point. The visuals intensify everything faster, sharper, louder. A courtroom camera flashes as journalists swarm around officials, microphones shoved forward, questions shouted. A secret meeting in a dimly lit room, only hands are shown, one slipping a gun across the table, the other pushing a briefcase forward. Protesters on firelit streets, their chants drowned by the roar of sirens. Flames racing across a cracked pipeline, igniting the desert in a chain reaction of explosions. The music hits a peak, drowning everything in relentless rhythm. Over it, a voice cuts through, almost broken. If the truth comes out, it will burn. US all, the collapse. The montage slows. We see a tower collapsing at a rig site, falling into dust. The camera lingers on the destruction, heavy smoke swallowing the horizon. Through the haze, a lone figure walks forward, their boots crunching against charred ground. Their shadow grows long against the firelight, faceless but commanding. The voiceover whispers, softer now but deadly, "Every empire reaches its breaking point." And this one is cracking. The screen flickers with final haunting images, a child's toy dropped in the mud, covered in oil. A contract burning in a steel trash bin, flames curling the paper into ash. A single drop of oil sliding down. A man's hand falling in slow motion. Splashing like blood, the music stops abruptly. Silence. Only the ticking clock remains. One final time, louder, faster, then suddenly cutting out. The screen goes black. A final line pierces the void. The fight is no longer for land, it's for survival. This is where the teaser explodes into its most powerful moment: chaos, betrayal, and the heavy weight of destiny. It must feel like the storm breaking after long tension, then suddenly drop into silence before the reveal. Here's the full 4,000 character script for the climax. The spark before the inferno. The screen fades in on stillness. A single oil drop falls from a broken pipe, echoing as it splashes into the mud. That sound repeats, drip, 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 until it feels like a drum beat. Then in the silence, the faint crackle of fire. A match is struck. For a split second, the flame hovers in the dark. Then an explosion. A rig erupts into a storm of fire, metal flying like shrapnel. The screen shakes violently before cutting to black. The voiceover whispers, heavy and final, "Once you light it, you can't put it out." The final collision music surges in like a tidal wave, fast drums, piercing strings, the sound of war drums, echoing. The montage comes alive with flashes of total chaos. Protesters charging through fire-lit streets as tear gas fills the air. An oil tanker exploding in the ocean, black smoke spiraling into the sky. A helicopter spinning out of control, crashing near a pipeline. Faceless figures pointing weapons at each other in a dimly lit warehouse. The screen splits between images of boardrooms and battlefield suits, signing contracts while halfway across the world, men in helmets storm through flames. The contrast is stark, power traded in silence, destruction unfolding in noise. The voiceover returns, now filled with rage. "This is no longer business, this is war." The betrayal's unveiled, the music drops lower, pulsing like a heartbeat. Shadows of characters appear again, never their faces, only fragments of their actions. A hand pulling a trigger. A woman's silhouette screaming into a phone. A man throwing a briefcase into a fire. Two shadows standing back to back, one slowly stepping away. Each image lasts only a second, building dread. Overlapping voices fill the air like ghosts. "He turned on us. They'll kill everyone to keep it quiet." "Run," the voices collide, growing louder, until they drown in the roar of another explosion. Nature strikes, back the camera pans over endless desert plains. But now they are scarred, burning, poisoned with oil. Black rivers cut through the land, smoke clouds blot out the sun. Lightning tears across the sky, illuminating the destruction below. The voiceover softens. Almost mournful, the land remembers. Every lie, every wound, every drop stolen. Suddenly the ground shakes. Cracks split across the earth, oil bubbling up like blood from a deep wound. Towers collapse one by one in a domino chain, fire spreading faster than control. The music reaches a fever pitch. The final words the screen fades into darkness. Silence, only the faint hum of a storm in the distance. A deep voice whispers, clear and cutting, "The land is not forgiving. And this time, it will take everything back." The ticking clock returns louder, faster, like a countdown reaching zero. On the final tick, silence. Then a single boom of music as text slams onto the screen. Landman Season 2, the letters glow against black, oil dripping across them. Like ink. Another line appears beneath. Streaming 2025, official teaser trailer, 4K. The last sound is a low rumble of thunder. The screen fades to pure black.